Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Charles. I want to welcome you guys to another episode of the Dreamerspro Show, where we cover everything from sports, hot topics, classic debates, entertainment, and where we give you guys a fresh perspective on things and how we see them. And boy, oh boy, we got a good video for you guys today, so make sure you go and subscribe to the channel and like the video if you haven't already. Now, let's just get straight into it. Yesterday's game was a very, very big game. It was a big game, and everybody wanted to see the first showdown between the Brooklyn Nets and the Philadelphia 76ers after they made those trades, and there were so many storylines surrounding that game yesterday. So let's just first of all talk about the biggest storyline. The biggest storyline was the return of Ben Simmons to Philadelphia. Now, we all know the backstory. There's no point in us chronicling it and going back and explaining everything. We all know, right? So all of us wanted to see the reception that the Philadelphia 76ers fans were going to give Ben Simmons in his big return. And obviously we saw some clips of him coming into the game for pregame warmups and all of that stuff, and they booed him lightly, but he didn't play, right? So that was the first big storyline there. And the second one was we wanted to see who won the trade between these two teams. Remember, they swapped out some key pieces, and since James Harden was since the day James Harden got traded to the Philadelphia 76ers, there's kind of been these back and forth little subliminal jabs in the media between Harden and Kyrie Irving, and these are NBA players are like rappers, man. These dudes be sending out subliminal shots. I don't understand why these dudes just either don't say anything or just be straightforward. But they always giving these light jabs back and forth. So that was interesting, and we're kind of wondering to see how things would transpire once the game got started. And once the game did finally get started, I wasn't thinking about no damn Ben Simmons, to be quite honest with you. I was noticing the fact that game had a playoff atmosphere. For any of you who saw the beginning of that game, I'm sure a lot of you guys will concur with me. It was heated in there, right? You could see that dudes was really going at each other. And early in that game, Joel Embiid looked like a man possessed. He was out there slapping dudes, elbowing dudes, running over dudes. I think he went to the free throw line, if I'm not mistaken, in that first quarter, maybe 8 or 10 times. I mean, he would just not be denied. But he wasn't the only one, because Kevin Durant was out there. He was going at him. And Kyrie Irving didn't say a mumbling word. He just let his basketball game speak for him. And Kyrie Irving was getting buckets. Like, as a Kobe Bryant fan, I know Kyrie Irving is a disciple of Kobe Bryant. He was very reminiscent yesterday, man. Kyrie Irving was hitting some shots. And he was getting in the lane. You saw that, that fadeaway that he hit at the top of the paint when he got fouled, and he just faded away and hit the shot. I was like, man, these dudes came to play, which brings me to the other star, the fourth star on the floor, which is James Harden, who looked totally lost out there. James Harden seemed like he was confused. Everybody else seemed to be in the game. Joel Embiid seemed to be in the game in the moment. And James Harden was just out there flopping, and, he just looked so limited. And thank God I wasn't the only one, because apparently Charles Barkley, after the game, also noticed it, and he just totally leaned into him, man. He just ripped it, he just totally tore him apart. So for those of you guys who missed some of the comments that Charles Barkley had to make about James Harden after his subpar performance against the Brooklyn Nets yesterday, take a listen to some of the things that Charles Barkley had to say here, and we're going to come back and give you guys our thoughts. Take a listen to that here.
They're 5-1 now, and Harden and Embiid play together. More turnovers than assists for the Sixers. They did nothing in this game against.
Well, let me say this. First of all, KD's lying. This was a big game. You could see by their body language, their energy level.
You could see by the post-game reaction.
Yes, you could see. But James Harden, when you get that reputation, and actually, let me say that, it's going to be the same way about Ben Simmons. He's got the reputation. He won't shoot the ball. He can't make free throws. Until he does it, he's still going to have that reputation no matter what. And James has got the reputation. I think he struggled in all big games. I mean, because if you go back and look, even when they were in Houston, when they should have beat the Golden State Warriors, they were up.
We were there.
They were up until Chris Paul got hurt.
We were there.
Yeah, until Chris Paul got hurt, and Chris was the leader of that team. But James is developing a reputation, and it's fair. James is a terrific player, a great player. But when the lights are the brightest, he has played awful. And like I say, the thing about being a great player, you don't have to play great. You just can't stink up the joint. And he stunk up the joint tonight. And now, Shaq and Kenny know this, the next big game. Because the Sixers have to win the championship, in my opinion, the next 2 years, or that's going to go down as one of the worst trades ever.
Where did he lie? Charles Barkley is absolutely right about what he said about James Harden. Yesterday, James Harden was a total non-factor, man. He was a non-factor. Let me just quickly read you off his the box score, his stats that he put up yesterday. James Harden finished the game with a whopping 11 points, 4 turnovers, 6 rebounds, 5 assists, and the dude shot 17% from the floor. 17%. James Harden was 3 of 17. I think he only made, if I'm not mistaken, I think the only 3 shots that James Harden made, let me pull up the box score here, was 3-pointers, if I'm not mistaken. No. Yes, the only shots that James Harden made yesterday was 3-point shots. That's unacceptable. But then again, I'm not surprised at all because we've seen James Harden do this before. To me, that was totally unacceptable. And I think Kyrie Irving and the Brooklyn Nets and these guys, they just totally blitzed them from the jump. They were ready. They were not talking. They were not. Although KD and Joel Embiid were going back, Kyrie Irving wasn't talking. He was just out there balling. Kyrie Irving was not talking trash. They just blitzed them, and I think they had 3 Nets players in Seth Curry, Kyrie Irving, and Kevin Durant. These guys combined for 12 3-pointers. That's an average of 4 between those 3 guys. I mean, to me it was unbelievable. And listen, the Nets simply put a beat down on these guys. If Kyrie Irving were to be 100% available for the Brooklyn Nets these playoffs, I would easily pick the Nets to be one of the teams to make it to the Eastern Conference Finals. Because you also still have the Miami Heat and you also still have the Milwaukee Bucks. But if Kyrie Irving and these guys were playing on all cylinders, man, listen, Kyrie and Kevin Durant, these guys rise to the moment. These are big game players. These guys hit some of the biggest shots in NBA Finals history. Obviously, we know the shot that Kyrie Irving hit against the Golden State Warriors in Game 7 to basically win that series. And we know those 2 big shots that Kevin Durant hit, I think both in Cleveland against LeBron James and the Cleveland Cavaliers in LeBron's face. So these guys are big money players. And if you look at James Harden, this guy just seems to shrink under the moment. He just does. It's like whenever the moment is big, the biggest, that's when he shrinks. And I think that's what Charles Barkley was talking about. That, listen, this guy, you just have to play better. You can't just continue to just disappear. You guys have to make a run. You have to make this trade work. And to me, looking at that game, it looked like Joel Embiid was the only guy that came out there ready to ball. Tobias Harris was a non-factor, and the rest of these guys were a non-factor. And to me, I think the irony in all of this was that while this game was going on, I wasn't even thinking about Ben Simmons. He was a total afterthought, at least to me. So what I want to know from you guys, what do you think about the comments that Charles Barkley made? What do you think about the things that I said? Whatever you guys think, please leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section below. And we'll definitely catch you guys on the next episode. Peace.